Hello, and welcome to episode 22 of the Made by Mumino podcast. My name is Kathryn, and a huge welcome to you if you're just joining me, and a big welcome back if you've been with me for a while. So, it's been a while since I filmed a normal episode. I did Vlogmas, which I know isn't everyone's cup of tea, but I had fun doing it. Sort of taking you through what I do on the lead up to the festive period, lots of baking and visiting Christmas markets, that kind of thing. But yeah, back to business as usual. But it feels like quite a while since I've recorded a normal podcast like this, so bear with me if I'm a little rusty. So if you've just found me, or you found me through Vlogmas, as I said, my name is Kathryn, and I live on the western side of Germany, not too far from the Dutch border, in a city called Mönchengladbach, not too far from Dusseldorf, if you know that region. And I live there with my partner. I've lived there for quite a long time. I live there permanently. But right now I'm not filming there. I'm filming in my mum's quilting room in Wales, in the Welsh mountains, in the Brecon Beacons, the Bannau Brecaniog, because that's where I'm from originally, even though I don't sound very Welsh. So yeah, we're here, my partner and I are here for the holiday period. We're going back in a few days' time, driving back to Germany. And we've been here for, I think, nearly 2 weeks now. It's been really lovely. I've got quite a big family, and it's been lovely to catch up with everybody and spend some time with people. So yeah, the weather is horrible. What time is it? It's nearly 3 o'clock in the afternoon, but it's gloomy and grey and foggy and horrible. So I'm hoping that the light will stay whilst I record the episode today. So anyway, let's get started. As normal, what am I wearing? I wore this in one of my Vlogmas episodes as well. I feel a bit like I'm cheating by wearing it. I didn't make this. My mum made it for herself, and she wasn't quite happy with the fit, so she gave it to me. We're quite similar sizes actually, but she didn't like that it was quite tight fitted. This is the I think it's the Tree Light from Jennifer Steingass. I'll put it down here what it is. And my mum made this in the Croft Aran. I would stand up and show it to you, but I'm wearing my pyjamas. They're very fancy pyjamas, a nice pink flannel. but I don't feel like I'm ready to share those with the world. But this is a really gorgeous jumper made in very nice warm yarn. It has pilled a bit, I don't know if you can see there. So I've worn this for a couple of years now, and I've never debobbled it. And it is pilling, it does need doing, but it's nothing too bad considering I wear it under big coats and things as well, so it could be worse. But Jennifer Steingass's patterns, you can't really go wrong with them. They're lovely. But I'm ashamed to say I've never made one, so I think I need to rectify that this year sometime. But it's just a really nice simple yoke. I have a feeling my mum said it was the first colour work jumper that she'd ever made for herself. So yeah, one moment. So yes, lovely and warm, very, very cosy, very dense. To be honest, I think because this was quite early on in my mum's knitting journey, I think that the gauge is actually a bit tight. I think that's what the problem with it is, which I really like because it's very dense, and I spend a lot of time waiting around on drafty train platforms and bus stops. I drive, but I don't have a car in Germany. We don't really need one because, my partner has one, but I don't really need a second car because we live in the middle of the city, and I have a bus stop pretty much outside where we live. So it seems a bit daft to have two cars. But anyway, as a result, I spend a lot of time hanging around outside. So thick, dense knitwear in the winter is good. Right now, here in Wales, it's a good 5 degrees warmer than it is back home in Germany, from what I can see in the weather app. If you live locally to me back in Germany, please do comment below. What is the weather like? Because we'll be driving back on Friday, so I want to make sure I'm wearing the right outfit. So yes, that's what I'm wearing. And I want to talk next about finished objects. And I have one to show you today, and it's a biggie. And it's been worn, so it's a little bit bobbly already. I finished my partner's jumper. Yay! This is the Nightfall Sweater from Maxim Sear. And if you are following me through Vlogmas, you will have seen me frogging this up to the armholes because I finished it. I'd been knitting in it mostly in the evenings, and I hadn't noticed until I was blocking that somehow one ball of yarn here was a different dye lot to all of the other ones. So it had a big, slightly bluer stripe across the middle of it. And it sat in the naughty corner for 24 hours. I was going to leave it until after Christmas and then face it. But I bit the bullet, I ripped it back because this was my partner's main Christmas gift his Christmas gift from me. And I was really upset about it. I don't mind frogging my work, I'd rather get it right. But it was slightly heartbreaking because I knew I wouldn't be able to finish it in time for Christmas because I was just too busy doing other things. So I finished it 4 days ago, I think. Today's the 30th. So he had to wait a couple of days for it. He didn't mind. I minded, but he didn't mind. So it's done. So in the original pattern, this colour work here isn't there. And I did this because this colour work doesn't have any of that grey colour in it. And it meant that I could make a clean break and use the wrong colour grey down at the bottom for the last bit of colour work. By the time I got to this part, I made a slight change here as well because I'd already reached the length that I needed. And the colour work in the pattern here is very, very slightly different. So I just made it slightly shorter to accommodate, and then I made the ribbing slightly shorter as well. But overall it worked out really nicely. I'll put some pictures up here of my partner wearing it. But he's really happy with it. He doesn't look very happy in the pictures, but he's really happy with it. I'm thrilled with it as well. The yarn is lovely and soft. I have a feeling that it's going to pill like crazy, but it is what it is. This is, if you want more detail on this, go and have a look at my previous episodes because I talked about this in episode 21 as well. I'll try and link it up there. But pretty much all of this yarn is Atelier Zitron Landhaus in 3 different colours, so the grey, the charcoal and the terracotta. But it's also, the natural colour is Lang Alpaca Sock, which is, what's the make of this? 70% alpaca, 30% polyamide. I've made several pairs of socks with this. I love this. Is my favourite commercial sock yarn. I love it. And this Landhaus is 80% merino superwash and 20% polyamide. So they're both sock yarns. It should be reasonably hard wearing. It should be able to take a certain amount of wear, I think. And I don't know, would I be brave enough to put it in the washing machine? I don't think so. I don't think there's any need to. But yeah, overall, I loved this knit. I found this colour work here really uncomplicated, very engaging. It was very potato chippy. I didn't find that I needed to rip back. It was very intuitive, nice and easy to follow. If you have a look at other people's colour choices, they're so wildly different. And I actually think that I really like this extra bit of colour work down at the bottom here. Really like it. It's also provided a bit more structure down at the bottom. One thing I also did to this, normally when I'm making a jumper, I don't start with the collar. I start with the just below and then I add the collar afterwards. And I do wish that I'd done that here, if I'm honest, because it's a superwash, it is pulling out a little bit. So what I've done is I've crocheted a little chain along the back just to strengthen it a bit and stop it from pulling out anymore. If I find that it's just pulling out of shape and getting bigger and bigger and bigger, I might get a little bit of black elastic and thread that through just to keep it there. My partner doesn't like anything up against his throat particularly, so he doesn't mind that it's quite big, but it annoys me when I have to see it's getting pulled out of shape. So So yeah, as I said, this is the Nightfall Sweater from Maxim Sear. I highly recommend the pattern. The adaptations I made were purely because of the yarn that I had. The only other thing that I might do next time is do a couple more decreases down the side before I get to this bit, just so that it fits my partner's shape a bit better, but that's very much just because of his shape. So yeah, I would knit another one, but it's so distinctive that I think one is enough in one wardrobe. But if this one wore out or got lost or something, I would make another one. It was a really nice pattern to knit. Yeah, really happy with that, and so relieved to finally have it finished. It was, if you fancy watching something a little bit painful, go back to my Vlogmas. I can't remember which episode it was where I filmed myself frogging it. As other knitters probably would find that a little bit painful to watch. So there we go. Anyway, first finished object, and only finished object, I think. I just remembered, and so I went and ran and got my mum's sock blockers, because I do have another finished object. I have my Advent socks. So as part of my birthday present, because my birthday's at the beginning of December, my mum and dad really kindly gifted me a skein of the Cozy Knitter self-striping Advent yarn. I'll put all the links below. Oh dear, I've already been wearing these and they haven't been blocked. I'm sure you don't mind. So yeah, my mum and I both had a skein of this beautiful self-striping yarn each. And how gorgeous are they? They're so cute. Apologies for the slight bagginess there. But they're so fun, aren't they? So what you get is 100 grams of self-striping yarn in 2 skeins. Both of them have the same sequence on them. I'm sure you've seen self-striping yarn before. So I knit my socks concurrently. I knit them top down. I used Filcolana Arvetta for the contrast colours, but I also held it with some scrap mohair throughout. I'm not 100% sure what the mohair was. It was either Rowan Kid Silk Haze or it was Knitting for Olive. It could have been either. It may have been both, I don't know. But Mum had 2 little nuggets left in her stash, so I stole them. I didn't actually have quite enough at the end, and I don't know which sock it was that didn't have the mohair right at the end. You can't even tell. The last row before I kitchened didn't have any mohair in it, and it's absolutely fine. But I love this. It's made quite a dense fabric because I've held it with the mohair, and I did it on a 2.25mm needle, which is that a US one? I'm not sure. One moment, I'll look it up while I'm talking. But it has actually made a slight kind of dense fabric. And I was wearing these in my boots the other day when we went to the beach. And it was just lovely. It was so nice and warm and cosy. I really enjoyed wearing it. So I think I might do this again. And I think it was also a really good decision to do a 72 stitch cast on. I have a size 6 foot. And, sorry, I'm looking on Ravelry. Yeah, I have a size 6 foot and not desperately wide feet, but quite square. And normally a 64 stitch cast on is absolutely fine for me. Yeah, US one, 2.25 is the US one. But I knew that they wouldn't be as stretchy because of the mohair, so I went up a bit and I'm really happy with it. I'll definitely make these again. Really cheerful, nice, soft yarn. I've used just over half because you can see I'm getting into the repeat of the colours again there. So I think I've got enough left to make a second pair with slightly shorter legs. So I might just make the cuff look a bit bigger, or I might pop it into a scrappy blanket or something, I don't know. But I'm really happy with those. They're lovely. My mum's happy with hers too. I'll put a little video of us both wearing them. So I found this really low stress. When I've tried to do Advent projects in the past, I find that small manageable chunks is the way forward without too much knitting involved. So last year I made myself a doodle cowl from Jamie Lomax of Pacific Knit Co, and I did like 1 motif per day, and that was fine. I really enjoyed that. Didn't find it too arduous. Some days I did no knitting, some days I did 2 motifs. It was really low stress, and this was even better because it was even less knitting involved. The only bit that I found a little bit like stressful, not stressful is too strong a word for it, but was to where to fit the heel into that sequence, and also whether or not I'd have enough days left to do 1 round per day, and the toe as well. I did end up doing, I think, 3 rows of the stripes, sorry, 3 stripes plus the toe on Christmas Eve. I didn't actually finish these on Christmas Eve. I think I finished them on Christmas Day morning and just wore them straight away. They're so soft and squishy. I definitely recommend using mohair with your sock yarn. It's also really good if you want to use an ordinary 4-ply and you want to give it a bit more strength. Obviously it's not nylon, but it will strengthen an ordinary yarn a little bit. But beware, because it does make your socks quite slippery. So if you've got lots of hardwood floors or, I don't know, lots of stairs in your house or something, it might just be a little bit more slippery, so be aware of that. But I like a mohair sock. So that's those. Oh, and the pattern I just did my plain vanilla sock. I knit the leg, do a heel flap, heel turn, pick up usually 17 or 18 stitches down the heel flap, and then do decreases and then a round toe. I don't know exactly what the recipe for that is. I did say that I would write it down sometime, maybe I will, but it's just what I always knit for socks. Tell you who is good for socks is Earth Tones Girl. If you want different techniques of how to knit socks, if you've never knit a pair of socks before, she does a brilliant course on how to knit socks. I think a lot of her stuff is free as well, if not all of it. But my mum recommended her to me, and I know she recommended it to my sister-in-law as well. My sister-in-law, she's not long started knitting. Bless her, she did loads of knitted gifts for everyone. It was so lovely. She made me a gorgeous little mini shawlette out of a cotton mix, and it's just really pretty, really nice. And I think that one would assume that knitters wouldn't enjoy being given knitted things. I love it. I really love it. But my mum made this. I love that my mum made it. It's fantastic. So yeah, knit me stuff. Oh, that was a message to my family. Anyway, so I think that's it for finished objects. Okay, works in progress. Sorry, I'm a bit tangled up here. Got loads of knitting bags down there. Works in progress. I've got 1 work in progress at the moment because this one's on a deadline. I'm doing a test knit for Yiğitcan, otherwise known as Pufido knits, and I am making, you can see this, the Airbender Shawl. It is gorgeous. I absolutely love it. It's so many different textures and it's so light and drapey and flowy and gorgeous. I saw this on Instagram, and he's a new to me designer, and I just fell in love with it. It's just a gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous pattern. So it just comes in 1 size and calls for a fingering weight and a lace weight, about just under 500 meters of each, and a US 4 or 3.5 millimeter needle. I'm using pretty much all of that. I swatched, well I didn't swatch. When I'm knitting a shawl I don't usually bother swatching. I just start knitting it and see if I'm happy with what I'm getting, because it doesn't need to fit in the same way that a garment does. So I started knitting it in, do I have it here? I apologise for the noise. I started knitting it in Rowan Kid Silk Haze and Pigment and Ply, if you can see that. And this is a beautiful yarn that I picked up at Wonderwool last year, which is a yarn show here in Wales, in Bilf Wells, in every April, and I will be going again this year. I've already booked my flights to come home. So I started knitting it in these. Now I had made a mistake. I misread the pattern. I thought, because in the picture it's all the same colour. I thought that these yarns were held together, so I just assumed, never assume, started knitting it held together. I was like, this is very thick, it doesn't feel right. Looked a bit more closely and realised they were alternating colours. Duh. Totally my fault. The pattern was very clear. My brain chose to ignore the information. So then I ripped it back. I'd only knit it back that much. Ripped it back, started again as the pattern intended, striping them or alternating them. And I did not like the effect at all. I really didn't like it. It was too much of a colour difference. I bought these to be held together, not separately, and I didn't like it. One of the things that really appealed to me was the fact that this is all one colour and it looks very, very succinct and really clean, and you know, with the textures and everything. It didn't interfere with the textures. So I made an executive decision and I'm just knitting it in this. I have got 2 480 metre skeins of this, so I will definitely have enough. And I'm really, really happy with this. So this is from Pigment and Ply. I can't remember what the name of the dyer is. She was so sweet on her stall. Anyway, this particular one is Lily Made of Astolat, and it's 63% or 65% superwash merino, 20% silk and 15% yak. And oh my goodness, when I was scanning this up, I almost couldn't feel it. It was so soft. It's absolutely gorgeous. So the pattern, I will be honest, is not simple. It's very well written. It's very logical, but it does require some skill with reading charts, and it is written as well. There are written instructions too. But I think an adventurous beginner or an intermediate knitter could definitely have a go with this as long as you take your time. So I've started this, I cast it on a couple of days ago and I've got this far. I am so happy with that. It's beautiful. I wish you could feel how soft this is. It's not exactly how it was intended because it doesn't have those elements of the lace weight yarn going through it. But honestly, I think that it's a good trade-off. I can't afford to buy more yarn to replace this. It's just too much. So, so I need to make do with what I've got. And I'm really happy with the effect. When I had the yarn striped, because they were different colours, to my eye, I was then losing this beautiful stitch pattern. So I'm quite glad that I did that. In this section here, we've got these lovely travelling cables, or a kind of mock cable going up through it, and I'm really, really, really enjoying this. I think I've got another 2 weeks or so to work on this before the deadline. I should make it. Yeah, it's really lovely. Really happy with this. I'm happy with the gauge. It's quite open. It's going to be very, very drapey. This yarn is ridiculously drapey. Also, this yarn is not a typical size at all. It's 120 grams is 480 meters. So yeah, it's a really skinny 4-ply and there's a lot of it, which is fantastic and perfect for this pattern. So I'm really glad that I had that for this. So yeah, as I said, this is I think this is called the air funnel section that I'm doing now, which is about, I think, 2/3 of the shawl altogether. And then there's some other bits with bobbles and nubs and things like that on it. So yeah, I think this is going to be very wearable, very, very beautiful, a really nice piece. If you are new to doing this type of cable work or lace work or whatever, I really, really recommend after each section popping in a lifeline. I apologise if you already know what that is. If you don't, a lifeline is just where you put another thread through your stitches and then keep knitting, leaving the thread in there. That means that if you make a mistake further up in the next section or whatever, you can rip back and you have that line of stitches that is safe and easy to pick up. Because when you're slipping stitches, cabling them, or doing whatever, it's quite difficult to pick up a clean line of stitches. So I'm using quite thin floss. I'll show it to you now. Where is it? Again, apologies for the noise. This is floss for or cotton for doing crochet lace work. So very, very, very fine crochet. not something I do. My mum has it, and she had a spare ball of it, and this was perfect. I would recommend using something that, like embroidery thread, that's a very pale colour and not too thick. I have once or twice in the past put a lifeline in, and the yarn or thread that I was using is the same gauge as the yarn I was knitting with. And what happened was, even after it was blocked, you could see a slight line where I'd put the lifeline in. So it's good to do something like that. And what I tend to do then is leave quite long ends either side of when I'm doing a shawl, and then just weave it in down this has got an I-cord up the side, so I wove it into the I-cord a little bit so I don't have lots of threads dangling about. But I will do a lifeline at the end of each section just to make sure that if I need to rip back, I'm not having to rip back for ages and then potentially dropping stitches. So yeah. So as I said, the deadline for that is, I think, something like the 15th of January. So I've got a couple of weeks to do that. And yeah, I should get it done. So there I've got a little stitch marker, or progress keeper from Bubbles and Berries. She makes such cute stitch markers. That one's got a little holly wreath on it. So yes, that is that. And it's pretty much my only work in progress at the moment, apart from a couple of pairs of socks that I've shown you in previous episodes. They're almost finished, but they're not really worth showing you, to be honest. I have hibernated a couple of projects that I'm a bit disappointed about, to be honest. So I was knitting a Darla sweater from Eleanor Mortensen in Newterdon, and it's gorgeous. It's absolutely gorgeous, but I had to choose between that or finishing my partner's jumper after I'd noticed the mistake. And I tried knitting a couple of rows on my Darla, but I just wasn't having any fun at all because I knew that I had my partner's jumper to do, and I just felt really sad about it, if I'm honest. So I thought, never mind, I've got a half-done Christmas jumper or festive pullover ready to pull out next November and work on again, so I've hibernated that. And I think that was a good decision. I feel good about that. So yeah, that's what I'm working on at the moment. Okay, acquisitions, and I didn't buy any of them. They were all Christmas gifts. So the first one I've got here, my little brother, I made him a scrappy puntal. I'll put a picture up here. I put it on Instagram the other day. He was thrilled with it, and I think I was more chuffed actually because it fit. He hadn't done any try-ons. I'd seen him, I'd measured one of his jumpers that he really liked, and then I knit it based on those dimensions, and it worked, and he loves it. I was so happy. So anyway, he got me a yarn ball for Christmas. He was embarrassed that he hadn't whittled it himself. He said he'll try and do me one next year. So he's an engineer, but he also does a lot of crafting and handiwork as well, lots of wood carving and all sorts of things. And he said he had a lovely piece of beech that would work really nicely for a yarn ball, so he'll try and make me a bigger one next year. But I don't mind. How thoughtful is that my little brother got me a yarn ball for Christmas? It's even got a little lid. So I'm using this for my test knit at the moment. So that's that. And embarrassingly, I didn't have a yarn ball before then. It's one of those things I keep meaning to buy for myself. I go to craft fairs and wool shows and things, and I see these beautiful big ceramic yarn bowls. I'd love one of those. Ross at the WIP Yarn Company has gorgeous ones. They're beautiful, but I always want to spend my money on yarn rather than all the bits and pieces. And they're not cheap for a reason. They take a lot of skill and craftsmanship to make. So I never end up buying one because it feels like but I've got to take this back in my suitcase kind of thing, and I worry about it. I'll get one day though. Anyway, sorry, I'm wittering. Next acquisition, again, not bought by me. My parents bought me this. Part of my Christmas present. I am so excited. So I've just drafted my first, well, not my first pattern. I've self-drafted a shawl. It was the first shawl I ever made. I'll show it to you sometime. I don't have a picture of it. And I was really happy with it. I was so nervous about having to follow a pattern for the first time. I thought I would just make it up myself, which is so daft. And it's a big triangular moss stitch shawl. But it's really nice. I'll show it to you sometime. So I need to write up that pattern and just put it on Ravelry. It's a free download. And I've just knit a, if you look in my last episode, you'll see the Masogla cowl that I made for my dad. I've written up all the notes on Ravelry, but I will write it up properly as a free PDF download on Ravelry as well, if anyone's interested. It's so simple that I would be embarrassed to ask for any money for it. But anyway, I don't have aspirations to design, but every now and again I have an idea, and I would like to know how to do it. So this, if you've seen it before, is the absolute encyclopedia when it comes to how to design sweaters and different types of increases and decreases and yoke constructions and different shapes of shawls and everything you can think of, different types of everything. So I'm really chuffed with that. Again, it's one of those things that I've wanted for a long time but couldn't justify buying for myself. So I'm chuffed to bits with that. And they haven't written in it. I like it when I might go when I go downstairs now. They're all sitting quietly in the living room whilst I'm doing this. I might get them to write something in it. But anyway, so that's that. Super chuffed with that. And then the last thing that I got, and I will put a little video on Instagram of this as well, is a box from Sherry Iris. And I've just realised I picked up the wrong box. I'll be back in one moment. So I had a Christmas Eve box from Sherry Iris, and sorry, I'll pause the sound a second while I'm opening this so you don't have to listen to the rattling. Okay, so I had the Country Diaries yarn box, the Christmas Eve box. My partner got it for me. He is an absolute angel. I was really, really touched because, again, it's not something I would buy myself. It feels like an extravagance. And I'm such a yarn tourist. I like getting yarn from lots of different dyers and all over the place. Wherever I see something, I like to pick it up. But I've never had any Sherry Iris yarn before. My mum loves it, so I thought I'd give it a go. In this box, because I got the one with all the extras, there was a little box pouch with super cute little garden birds on it. My favourite little robins and little things. So I think it's very specifically British to have robins at Christmas. It's because people used to think of or call the postman like the nickname robins because the postman used to wear these red jackets. But it kind of goes before then. If you're interested in folklore, the robin is associated with you know, departed loved ones coming to visit and all sorts of different things in folklore. But I love the tradition of robins at Christmas. If you have a similar tradition of robins at this time of year in your country, please do comment below. I'd be fascinated to hear about it. But anyway, so there was a little box pouch. There was a little drawstring pouch. Oh, I don't know what... I think I was probably waiting to show you before I started using this. I really should put my shawl project in here. How cute is that? With a little drawstring. It's gorgeous, with a beautiful lining as well. So I had that in it. There was also, I'll get to the yarn bit first. Let's do the yarn first. So the main skein was this. How lovely is that? This is called A Robin in the Holly. And it's beautiful. This is 425 meters per 100 grams, 75% superwash, 25% nylon. So I think that I will save this until next Christmas or next winter and make myself some lovely socks. It might be too nice for that. I don't know. I'm going to sit and squish it for a bit. I also was really lucky. I had a meadow yarn box for my birthday. And I don't know what to do with that either. I just want to look at it. When you get hand-dyed yarn boxes like this, they're just too good to use. They just look so delightful. I just don't want to touch them, which is ridiculous. It also came with this set of minis. Ah, they're just so gorgeous. Oh, I could put it with the meadow yarn stuff and make a great big blanket. That would be nice. So yeah, those minis. It also came with these little embroidery silks dyed up in the same colours. I can't embroider. I've never done it before. I'm assured by various friends and family members that it's like painting with thread, and I do paint, so I kind of get what they're saying. You don't need to worry about doing lots of fancy stitches, just kind of draw something and fill in the gaps with the thread. So I might have a go, we shall see. I'm going to crinkle again. There was also a little pack of vintage bits of lace, little offcuts of fabric, to do slow stitching, which again, never done before. I don't know what to do with this, if I'm honest, but it's just so cute. So you get this, I'll show you now, this as well, little printed wren piece to do a bit of slow stitching with. I have no idea what I'm going to make with this, but it's adorable, and it's just, after all of the hectic preparation and pressure on this time of year, it feels like it will be a really nice, mindful thing to do, to sit quietly and sew something that is completely frivolous and just nice to look at. I shall have a think. I shall watch some of Sherry Iris's videos and see what she does with hers, and get some inspiration. But I won't rush into it. I'll wait until I feel like, yes, this is going to be the thing. Also in the box is a little notebook with a little robin on it, little lavender sachet, and a little candle and some washi tape with what looks like little wreaths on it. You can see that. There were also some really lovely little pieces of handmade paper in there as well. It's such a delightful, really, really nicely well presented box, and the yarn feels lovely as well. It felt like such a treat to open it. It felt very, I don't know, very, very special. It felt really nice. So yeah, I'll let you know what I end up making. It might just sit there for a while until something occurs to me. But yes, that was all of my acquisitions for this episode. And yeah, I've got one more thing to talk to you about. So, knitting plans. I have another test knit that I'm going to be starting soon, but it's a secret test knit, but I'll talk to you about, I'm allowed to talk about some of it, so I'll talk to you about that in the next episode in a couple of weeks when I'm back home, because I don't have the yarn that I'm going to be using here with me. But I have something else I'm going to do. I made this Gib sweater by Andrea Mowry for my partner last year. It is made in Malabrigo. Was it Rios? Aurora? I can't remember. I'll write down here what it was, and it'll be in the show notes. Oh, I forgot to say right at the beginning. Everything I talk about is linked below. Oh well, never mind. See, I told you I was rusty. Yeah, this is made with Malabrigo, which is, you know, a really nice superwash yarn, held with Holst throughout. The whole super soft, to try and balance it out again. But it still grew like nobody's business when he started wearing it. It is too big for him, so I have a mission. I'm going to reblock this, I'm going to soak it, I'm going to let it almost completely dry, and then I'm going to stick it in the tumble dryer. Wish me luck. So another podcast that I watch is Knit to Sip Happy with Nancy Wheeler. She's lovely. If I ever meet her in person, she's going to get the biggest hug in the world because she's just so sweet. But anyway, she said about doing that with one of her projects. So I thought, you know what? He's not wearing this at the moment. I could gift it to somebody else. But he chose this yarn himself. He chose the pattern and he really loves it. So I want to try and make it right for him. So I'm going to put it in on a coolish tumble drying cycle for like 2-3 minutes incremental, or yeah, 2 or 3 minute goes in the tumble dryer, just to try and tighten it all up a bit. Fingers crossed. I'll let you know how it goes, and hopefully it'll all tighten up. Maybe, I don't know. I hope it works. I really do, because there was a lot of work in this jumper, and he really likes it. So yeah, it's a really nice pattern though. I had a lot of fun doing this. I'm not sure what type of stitch this is. It's kind of like a moss stitch, but I think it might be a basket stitch. I can't remember now. But this is, yeah, the Gib 2 from Andrew Murray, and I really like this, and I love the little cable down the yoke, down the raglan, sorry. Yeah, really nice, lovely and warm, really nice jumper. So yeah, I really hope it works out. So yeah, that is it from me. So at the beginning of this, I will have done some footage from the local area around here in Wales. If you're ever in Wales, or in sort of the western side of the UK, I do really strongly recommend that you visit here. It's really beautiful. The weather is changeable. When you're up mountains, it's always changeable. So right now, I don't think I could say it's fog. I think it's just a cloud. We are sitting in a cloud because we're very high up. But on Boxing Day, I think it was on the 26th of December, it was beautiful up here. Glorious blue sunshine. It was absolutely stunning. So, but I do recommend visiting up here. It's really, really nice. But that's all I've got to talk about today. It is the 30th of December, so almost 2025. I've noticed that a few of the YouTubers I follow have been doing their best and worst knits of 2024, so I'm interested in watching a few of those. I don't know if I have any favourite or not favourite knits. I think probably my favourite knit from the last year was I made an Eleanor Mortensen Art Nouveau sweater. I did a test knit for her, and I loved that. As soon as I made it, I knew I was going to wear it a lot. And then after the summer, when the weather started to cool a bit, I've worn it so much. But I don't really have a least favourite knits. I've got knits I haven't worn as much, but I think that might be partly from when I finished them, and then it was slightly the wrong season to wear them. So yeah. Do you have any favourite knits from 2024 or anything that really didn't work out? I'd like to hear about that as well. So do comment down below. So I will go and edit this and hopefully get it uploaded in the next couple of hours. And I hope you're having a lovely, lovely day wherever you are. And if you're watching this before the new year or after the new year, I hope you're having a lovely one, and a very, very happy new year to you wherever you are. And I'll speak to you soon. Bye.